Hello, this is Kathy Streb. We're going to give you some information on intuitive eating, how to have peace with food. I'm a certified life coach and nurse practitioner, and I am helping women to find health in a more holistic way. Health is difficult. Your health is difficult. Um, it's a difficult thing to manage because so many messages about what health is, being a certain size or weight, seems to be the goal for most women. But we just don't have the science that proves how to lose weight, or even if losing weight improves health. So I'll give you a little bit about how health can, or how weight helps you to reduce your risk, and then some tips as we go through about how you can do that um, and be healthy in doing that. So there's one study that I found that shows that as little as a 5% weight loss can improve blood sugar and reduce the risk of fatty liver disease, also cardiovascular risk reduced with weight loss. There was one study that showed that um, how the role of a person's food environment plays a big part in weight gain. So this study actually let people eat two different types of food. So one group was able to eat kind of ultra processed foods, things like Honey Nut Cheerios and margarine, and the other group ate mostly whole foods, things like apple slices, and they had olive oil, those kinds of things. And it was interesting in this study that the people that had the highly processed food ate about 500 calories more per day than the ones that had the healthier foods. And what was interesting about this study, that the amounts of fat, sugar, and other nutrients in the two diets were very similar. So that shows that we can kind of eat more healthy foods, kind of more whole foods, and that in itself will reduce calories. But that's not really what this intuitive eating is about. It's more about figuring out what it is that you like to eat, and finding a way to incorporate those healthy foods into your diet and eat the things that you like. So we know that diets just don't work. 95% of people who lose weight just gain it back, and it just gets frustrating over time. The diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they just oversimplify the effect of calories in and calories out. They just tell you that if you eat less, you can lose weight, and that's all there is to it. But every body is different. And reducing calories makes your body go into the starvation mode, and it just makes it harder to lose weight. Another study that I found was talking about the Biggest Loser contestants, and how they had specific diet and exercise plan that they followed, and many of them lost a significant amount of weight during that time. Up to 120 pounds was the average. And they looked at those people 6 years later, and they had regained a lot of their weight back. So their resting metabolism remained sluggish just from doing that diet. So we want to kind of transition to doing something different so that you're not restricting. So there's an author that I enjoy. She has several books out on intuitive eating. Her name is Christy Harrison. And she said the diet culture is a system of beliefs that worships thinness and equates it to health and moral virtue, which means you can spend your whole life thinking you're irreparably broken, and just because you don't look like the impossibility thin ideal. So having this thin ideal makes it more difficult for those of us that just are not that ideal. So we're going to come up with kind of different thoughts and figuring out how to be thankful for what we have, and still be able to eat sensibly and healthy, but with foods that we enjoy, and not, have this kind of diet thing that you have to follow every single day for this short period of time to try to lose weight. This is kind of a change so that you can enjoy your food and be able to still be healthy in the long run. So where do you start? Well, intuitive eating, it's not a diet. It's a process of letting go of the diets and letting go of that culture and find a new way of eating. It's like investing for a long-term goal so that you have this thing that you can enjoy for the rest of your life. It's sort of like investing for retirement, and you have this financial goal for retirement, but it's a long-term goal. It's not something that you're going to do just in just a few months or weeks. It's something that happens that you have to do over a period of time. You'll be focusing on finding peace with food rather than having an end result of losing an X amount of weight. You will eventually learn to tune into your internal wisdom and what your body needs, and you'll develop inner peace in your mind, body, and spirit. So let's start thinking about when you are learning something new. You can think about maybe writing with your non-dominant hand. Both hands have access to your brain, but writing with my left hand makes it really difficult because I just can't write the same as I can with my right hand. It just doesn't work the same. So you have to kind of eating intuitively, in that it's a new practice, something you're going to have to kind of practice over time to learn what your body cues are, and responding to them takes practice. Years of dieting, we've ignored those signals. Dieting rules take time to kind of let go of and not listen to, because for years and years, we've told ourselves you have to eat certain foods or not eat this, or eat so many calories or so many macros. And so we're going to just kind of let go of all of that and figure out what it is our body needs, finding foods that you really enjoy eating, and maybe you forgot about foods that you like and you just focused on what are the right foods to lose weight. So now you can focus on what is it that you enjoy eating, what tastes good for you, balance foods you enjoy and foods that make you feel good in your body when you eat them, so you have the energy to do the things that you need to do. What dieting teaches you is to focus on eating certain foods and feel guilting for eating off your plan. So this is intuitive eating is getting rid of that guilt, because you can eat whatever you want. You just pay attention to what your body needs. So if you're tired of dieting, doing that yo-yo thing, this is a way to start a new journey, to find out what your body wants and needs, rather than following the diet culture and eating with restriction. So the first stage is to being conscious of what your body needs and what those signals are. It's sort of like when you first learn to drive a car. A novice driver, kind of has to figure out how to drive down the driveway, or, back up, or those kinds of things. And over time, those things are just kind of automatic about, how to turn the key on, or who has keys now, push the button to turn your car on, and, make sure all the mirrors are okay and all that. You just kind of do that automatically. And over time, you can figure that out with this process, is figuring out what your body signals are and what foods that your body enjoys and feels good and makes you feel good. You want to figure out your intuitive signs of hunger and your taste preference and satiety. So what makes you feel full or gives you pleasure when you're eating? You can think about, maybe you enjoy salads, And there's nothing wrong with eating a salad if that's what you enjoy. But if you don't enjoy salads or they cause you problems with your body, then maybe you don't need to eat that, and just figure out things that are healthy, that you enjoy. And also, you can have cake or cookies or candy. You just have to figure out what it is that you enjoy and makes you feel good and gives you energy. If all you eat is sugary based foods, you just won't have the energy that you need to do your daily activities. So having a balanced diet really helps to give you the energy that you need, but you can do that with foods that you like as opposed to, following a certain plan. You learn to be conscious in the eating experience rather than obsessive with what you're going to eat and what you're going to have next, because you're stopping that restriction. You don't have this, because your brain makes you think more about food when you're hungry all the time. So if you listen to your inner voice or inner experience, then you can figure out what it is that you need to eat and how often and how many calories and all of that. You can do it automatically without having to follow a plan. And you can learn what your true food likes and dislikes are when you stop focusing on whether it's good or bad for you. So how do you find your intuitive eater? So let's figure out how to do that. So after a while, you'll find that you naturally know what your body needs. You get to the point that you no longer obsess about food and just eat. You just sit, you're hungry, you find something to eat, and you just eat. And you will find your food choices are based on biological signals. You feel more trust with your body and yourself over time. You find that you can respect yourself and your body no matter what your weight is. So you figure out, what it is you like to eat when you're hungry, you stop when you've had enough, when your satiety signals are taken care of. You consciously choose what you want to eat and you stop when your body is comfortably full. And the only way to figure all of that out is to start paying attention. So your food talk and self-talk will be less critical. So you'll learn over time how to love yourself, be less critical of what you're doing. And you can do this and give yourself unconditional permission to eat. Now, when I say that, that can feel scary. And this process will ultimately allow you to have peace with yourself, your body, and along with peace with the food. So doing this can help you have peace, overall peace in your life. So principle 1 is reject the diets. So throw out the diet books and magazines that give you false hope that losing weight quickly and easily and permanently is possible. Get angry at those lies that they tell us because they just don't work. Restricting and doing all of that is just failing. And it makes you feel like a failure because you can't do it for long term. Or why is it that I can't do this? There's something wrong with me. Well, that's not true. It's just that restriction just amps up this automatic thing in your body that makes it really difficult to continue to do that. So as you start on this journey, we're going to stop the restriction and figure out what we can do next. Now, it can be kind of scary to do that. You may have fears that you'll never stop eating, that you'll be overeating all the time. And this will allow you to kind of figure out what those signals are in your body. So you allow yourself to eat, and then your body will decrease that intense drive to eat or hunger or wanting to eat more and more. Now, it's a process. It will take some time. And eating at your inner signals rather than following a plan is what we're going to discuss as we go forward. So, what does dieting do for us? that keeps us doing it. So many dieters, it's a way to cope with life. Starting a diet in difficult times, maybe, when we were younger, as we left home for the first time, trying to fit into the crowd right before you get married, think you want to be a certain weight or be thin, maybe starting a new job after having a baby. All of those are things that trigger us to want to lose weight and be thin. So the losing weight has become the fix to any number of things. And you could just get to a certain weight. Life would be perfect. Your friends talk about dieting, and it's kind of a way to bond. So, it's kind of getting past all of that and figuring out what's good for you and how you can feel good about yourself. So to stop the dieting, you have to just learn to respond to the signals to eat more. Learn to respond to your signals. So when you're dieting, your body thinks it's starving and it puts out signals to make you eat more. And if you pay attention to your inner signals and eat just when you're physically hungry, and over time, those signals will be more true to what your hunger is, as opposed to this kind of ramped up signal that happens when you're dieting, because you're restricting, so your body puts out all of these hormones that makes you want to eat more. So you stop trying to be perfect and restricting certain foods to lose weight. Dieting over time makes you gain weight because you have this kind of weight cycling up and down. And eventually your weight just keeps going up and up every time you do that. No one can be the expert of you. You're the one that has the inner wisdom of what your body needs, so you can learn to trust that over time. So we want to give up the things like restricting carbohydrates or reducing fat or cutting back on certain foods, paying penance for eating bad foods by exercising more or restricting the next meal or things like that. You want to give up all of those, allowing yourself to eat when you're hungry, regardless of the other foods you're eating. Exercise. If you are an exerciser, that will make you hungry because your body needs more fuel to be able to do that. So you want to be able to exercise and have food if that's what your body needs, and not try to restrict and ignore those signals. So dieting causes damage psychologically and mentally. So recognize and acknowledge the damage that dieting causes. The harm is real. Dieting is a form of starvation, and the body's designed to fight for survival. The body stores more fat, weight loss slows down, your metabolism decreases, you have increased cravings and binging. There's one study, a Framingham study. I don't know if you're that familiar with that. It's a large study that's been done for over 30 years with both men and women. It originally started with just men, but after several years, they started adding women into the study too. And it showed that those that do yo-yo dieting, where they, have this weight go up and down, increases your heart risks and premature death. So this is an independent of any cardiovascular risk. That is regardless if a person is thin or obese. They found that just going up and down with your weight over time increases your risk. So we also have psychological and emotional problems with dieting. So it's linked to eating disorders, increased stress, triggers overeating and binging, and it actually erodes our self-trust and confidence because we think we just can't do it. And willpower is not a thing. You will not be expected to will your blood pressure to be lower. So how can you be expected to will your body to not need food? It's just a natural desire, and we just need to figure out a way to stop doing whatever there's prescribe us to do and forget about those rules. It can cause you, when someone tells you what to do, you could have this kind of rebellion response where you just don't want to do what someone else is telling you, and so you try to do the opposite. So you want to think about all of this as a big tool that's helping you to learn how to figure out what your body needs and kind of have this kind of open kind of feeling for yourself that you're taking care of you. So only you can know your body. You will be responsible for when you eat, how much you eat. It's normal to feel powerless when you're told what to eat and how much. Dieting makes you feel rebellious and have self-doubt and shame if you can't follow the plan. So forget about failing. You are in charge now. So one of the things that happens when your body is in survival mode, so say you're restricting, um, rapidly lose or gain weight is like having fluid shifts. So if you find that over a couple of days you're losing a couple pounds or gaining a couple of pounds, it really is just fluid shift. So shift, you can retain water if you're eating excess sodium, or with change in hormones, you can also retain water. Muscle loss, when you're restricting, the body also gets rid of fluid or water because muscle has water in it, and you can lose a significant amount of weight as you're losing muscle, and the body uses muscle for energy if it has nothing else to use. Muscles. So what you think when you think about kind of building up your body and taking care of it, you'll continue to build up those muscles and burn more energy over time. this sorry this happens naturally if you eat enough protein and other food that your body needs. So if you eat carbohydrates, which is what your body needs for energy, it will not burn the muscle. It will actually store the protein to build muscles so that you have a better composition of your body. So we're going to learn to be compassionate, learning to reward yourself for taking care of your body. Stop believing that being thin will fix your life. Stop believing that what you eat makes you a bad person. Find another way besides dieting to bond with family and friends, and forget about failure. Intuitive eating is a learning process, and each new point or process in this is a growth experience. So you're figuring out what you want, what you need, and not listening to what others tell you should do. Listening to internal cues for how much to eat and when, you ultimately can learn to trust yourself and your body. So principle 2 is honor your hunger. So we're going to move on to kind of some actual tips to figure out what your body needs. So as you know, your body needs food or specific things for adequate energy. Eating less than your body needs will trigger a primal drive to overeat. So you can think of this as when you're on a restrictive diet, all you do is think about food. Well, that's your body's response. It's a powerful system to keep us alive. So it goes into overdrive when you restrict. Both physical and psychological signals are ramped up to get you to eat because your body thinks it's starving. I found another study that looked at World War II men it was during the World War II, sorry. 32 healthy men were studied. It was called the now it was called the starvation study. Um, they restricted their calories to half what their normal intake was. So they watched them or monitored them for a period of time to figure out how many calories they normally ate. And then they restricted them to half of that, which was about 1,500 calories for 3 months. And when they restrict them, it's like they had a change. They were obsessing over food and hiding food, and every time they gave them things like candy or cookies or whatever, they ate a lot of those to make up for not having enough calories. And even after they stopped the study, it took about 5 months for them to get back to eating normal and not eat large amounts of food. So this is going to be a process for all of you that are looking at changing this. Is not going to be an overnight fix because we just have been so conditioned to do it differently that it's just going to take time to learn to do it differently. While dieting can also become socially isolating, that you don't want to go out with people because you risk going off your diet. So this lets you be more social and have fun and just figure out that you can do this. So what triggers eating? So there's a powerful biological kind of process in your body that your body needs the energy to do what it does. There's a hunger drive that's kind of a mind body connection, and neurochemicals are released from the body to simply induces us to eat. The body or the biological chemicals regulate appetite and also directly affect your mood, physical energy, state of mind, and our sex lives. So one chemical is called a neuropeptide Y. It's a chemical that's produced by the brain that triggers our drive to eat carbohydrates, which is the body's preferred source of energy. If you restrict that next meal, those chemicals go up, and then there's kind of this overdrive to eat more carbohydrates. And this levels are naturally higher in the morning because you've fasted all night, up to 12 hours for most people. And if you skip breakfast, then those levels ramp up even more to want to make your body want to eat more carbohydrates. Now, when you eat carbohydrates, there's a feel-good hormone that's released called serotonin, and this, when you eat carbohydrates, this serotonin levels are high, and it also shuts off that neuropeptide Y, reducing your desire for the carbohydrates. So if you listen to those signals and eat the food that your body wants, you'll have less of this up and down kind of thing. So it's more your mood improves and you have what your body needs. So why do we need carbohydrates? So it's what your body uses for energy. The cells in the body need a adequate amount of carbohydrate in the form of glucose. The brain, nervous system, and red blood cells rely exclusively on glucose for fuel. Now the liver does store glycogen, which is a source of glucose, but it only stores enough for about 3 to 6 hours, and then your body needs more carbohydrate for the glucose. So if you don't eat enough carbohydrate, your body will start to break down muscle for energy. All those diet programs tell us that if you don't eat what your body needs, that it'll start burning fat. Well, it doesn't really do that because muscle tissue is easier to convert to carbohydrate than fat tissue is. So the propensity, the natural way the body gets energy besides carbohydrates is with muscle tissue. So if you eat a high protein diet and the protein is converted to energy rather than to use to build muscle. So you need food to protein to build muscle. But if you're not eating enough carbohydrates, it just burns that protein for fuel, and then it's difficult for your body to build muscle. The hormones and cells in your body also need protein, and your body won't break down the fat because it's just more difficult to do that. So you need you need carbohydrates for energy so that you can do what you need to do. Your body needs energy to work. There's all of these automatic processes that happen. Your heart beats, your cell repairs, and all of those require energy. So you think about over a year's time, all of the cells, or many of the cells in the body, are replenished or replaced because they just die over time. So they have to be rebuilt. And your body needs good, healthy foods to do that. And if you're restricting or not eating the foods that it needs, then it makes it more difficult for it to build up those things. And trying to overcome biology by restricting food just causes you to want to eat more and have you urges to overeat. So you just pay attention to what your body needs, and then you won't have these ravenous times where you feel like you're starving, you just can't get enough to eat. And it further conditions you to believe you can't trust yourself or your body with food. So, getting to know your hunger signals. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So, when you're overly hungry, you kind of have this kind of painfully hungry. It's a primal urge, and it's an unpleasant sensation. So, you want to pay attention to that and learn to not get to that point. You want to eat before you're painfully hungry, because then it's more difficult to become satisfied with the food that you eat because your body is starving and it just wants you to keep eating. The other thing, the next level is kind of ravenous and irritable, where you're really hungry and you just are anxious to eat. The next level, so these are all overly hungry signals. So you can think about these things when you're thinking about how hungry you are. So you can start paying attention to your hunger signals and learn to eat when you're hungry. And it just is going to be a process to learn that. The third thing is very hungry, looking forward to a big meal or hearty meal or snack. And so this is a little less painful, a more pleasant experience. So you're kind of getting to the point that you're not ravenous and that you're just starving yourself. So, and as we go down on this range, you have less and less urgency to eat. So the next thing is you're just hungry and ready to eat without urgency. It's a polite hunger, and that's a pleasant feeling. And then as we go down, so subtle hunger, slightly empty. So the way to figure these out is to pay attention to when you're eating or when it's close to time to eat and the sensations that you feel in your body. The only way to figure out what you need or what your body needs is to start paying attention to how your body feels. And, if you're eating large meals and you go several hours and you think you're not hungry, that's possible. But you want to pay attention to your energy levels and how you're thinking. Are you having trouble concentrating? Those are all signs that you're just starving your body and it needs more food. So a neutral thing is neither hungry or full. So, you kind of at this neutral place where you're not really hungry and you're not overly full from just eating a big meal. And then the next step is beginning to feel fullness. So as you're eating, you want to pay attention. Have I had enough? Is this what I need to eat? Am I full? Those are the signals that you want to pay attention to as you're eating too. And if you get on down that, you get a little too full, doesn't feel pleasant, but it's not quite emerged into the unpleasant experience where you feel over full. The next is very full or too full. And sometimes you have to slow down, pay attention, maybe take, do timing for a while to figure out how to get to that point. Maybe take, up to 20 minutes to eat a meal. If you really pay attention to that and, time how long you're eating and that kind of thing, you'll figure out more easily what those signals are, because we just are such a fast um, society that we just don't sit down and enjoy our food, and it just makes it more difficult to figure out when your body is full. And then you can get to the point that you're painfully full or stuffed. You think about like at holidays, like at Thanksgiving or Christmas when you're with family, and you just have this big meal and you're just stuffed, and then you want to go to sleep after that. So you want to pay attention to times like that. And then it's not that you can't eat like that. It's just that you want to know that that you don't want to be able to be doing that every single day, because that's not what your body needs. So you want to pay attention to those hunger signals. So as you go through this process and you learn more and more about yourself and what your body needs, then you can, over time, figure out how to be an intuitive eater. And in the next few weeks, I'll give you more and more information about how to do this process. And if you have any questions or need anything from me, you can comment below this video, or you can email me at transformyourlife@kathystreb.com.